Hey everybody, John here with the esports department going over tonight's LPL LCK slate, and there's some bangers, there's some non-bangers. There's definitely some places where there's going to be some pretty clear ownership, some places where there's not, and kind of a sneaky spot that I think I kind of like. So let's go over this one. Top esports, they are negative 700, 8-1 on the season. Up against Vici Gaming, plus 400, they are 5-4 on the season. Against winning teams, top is 3-1 and Vici is 1-3. So, as with most matchups that involve top esports, this is one of those boring ones that I don't think is worth going too deeply into. Top 1913 gold per minute to 1758 pretty much tells you what you need to know. Gold differential plus 252 to -2. At 15 minutes, Vici is actually generally ahead of their opponents, but top esports is significantly further ahead. It's pretty straightforward. Top's going to get a lot of ownership. They deserve a lot of ownership. Still the best team in the world. And the kill per win and death per loss lines up very nicely for them too. You're looking at an 18.5-ish expectation for top esports. I would expect that their expectations are extremely high. So, I mean, they're going to be super chalky. There's really nothing you can do about them. I think they're going to be very highly owned, and they deserve to be. And there's not really a lot else you can do there. The second matchup of the day, JDG minus 225, 8-2 on the season, up against FPX, plus 165. Oh, I cannot forget to mention this. I'm sorry. Back to Vici. Leon is out this game. I know most people aren't going to want to play Vici anyway, but Leon is out for game 1. He's been suspended. The way I understand it, it's only game 1 though. So there's some very reasonable chance that that Aches gets subbed for Leon going into game 2. So a worry for you if you play Vici. I forgot to mention it because I'm honestly not really considering playing Vici. But if you're considering playing Vici, that's a worry for you. Be careful with the jungle. Very likely that the starting jungler, Aches, ends up getting subbed out there. JDG minus 225, they're 8-2 on the season. Up against FPX, plus 165, they are 5-5 on the season. Against winning teams, JDG is 5-1, FPX is 2-3. FPX on a downslide lately, for sure, and this matchup doesn't make it get any better for them, I don't think. JDG's just looked all around significantly better than FPX this season. I don't really know where FPX has an advantage in this matchup at the moment. Even in the mid lane, I think Yagao has played very well. DYN might be maybe a slight advantage, but JDG just has raucous advantages everywhere else. Kanavi is very, very good. Tian also has been very good, but I think Kanavi is significantly better. Zoom is head and shoulders above what Khan is doing right now. The bot lane is big advantages to JDG with the way that Crisp has been playing this split. So the only real spot that FPX has is trying to get some roaming stuff happening with DYN, trying to get an advantage in some of these dragon fights. I still lean pretty heavily towards JDG. I think they've been one of the best mid-game team fighting teams in the world, and they are ahead at 15 minutes versus negative at 15 minutes for FPX, which doesn't help FPX's case. I really just don't like FPX too much in this matchup. Now, to be fair, they're a fantastic underdog as far as underdogs go, way better than Vici as far as a team that has a chance. People are going to be off of FPX after that last horrific loss, and this against Rogue Warriors of all teams. And so it does make a good bounce-back spot. I mean, there's nothing to say they can't come back and pick up a win here, pick some better compositions or some compositions that team fight better, and make a real play at this thing. And they should have reduced ownership playing against JDG and being on a slate where there's not a lot of good underdogs to choose from. So as much as I think that JDG has a pretty big advantage here and the stats kind of tell that story, I do think that FPX is a live underdog that you shouldn't completely ignore, especially if you're playing a number of lineups. If I'm playing a lot of lineups, at least one of them is going to have FPX in there for sure. In the sort of 300 to 500 person fields, I feel like you can get really low ownership on them. When you start getting into stuff like the Titan type thing, the $15, people are going to have FPX mixes. But if you're in that 300 to 500 range, I think FPX makes a pretty good, a team that might be very low owned, as people's first inkling will be to go towards one of these other underdogs, I think. But FPX live in the matchup and should be extremely underowned, I think. That said, JDG a big favorite for me. In the next one, we have DRX minus 800. They are 8-1 on the season, 4-0 against winning teams. Up against Dynamics, who is plus 450, 4-5 on the season, 1-4 against winning teams. We can pretty much mirror the top esports matchup here. You have the best team in the league versus a fine middle-of-the-table team, which is Vici or Dynamics. The stats all heavily in favor of the better team, obviously. 178 better gold per minute, 240 better in gold differential per minute, dragon percentage by 6%, a 1,500 gap at 15 minutes. The difference with this matchup is I don't think this one's playable from a DFS standpoint on this particular slate. Very low kill per win for DRX versus these other two matchups up here, which have very high expectations. We'll look in a minute and we'll get a grasp from the table here, but I think this is a matchup that can be pretty easily avoided. DRX should win fairly quickly and cleanly. If you want to take that LCK risk that something weird happens and they run up the score, the LCK does tend to have higher kill participations than the LPL. You could try to get DRX in here. You're going to get pretty low ownership on them on this slate, I think, with such obvious other teams to go with. Dynamics, I don't think I'm messing with. Even if they win, I don't expect them to do that well. The DPL for DRX is kind of high, but Dynamics' kill per win is so low. I just don't even see Dynamics scoring that well in a win. So I think for me, this game feels like a complete fade, and that's probably how I'm going to live my life here. In the last matchup of the day, the Toilet Bowl from the LCK. HLE minus 125, 0-9 on the season, 0-5 against winning teams. Against Solheim Prince, minus 110, 1-8 on the season, also 0-5 against winning teams. So this seems like the clear underdog spot. HLE is the underdog, or is the favorite by the odds, but according to pricing, HLE is the underdog. So gold per minute, 1601 to 1595, very close. Gold differential, minus 303 to minus 301, very close. Slight advantages in both First Blood and First Turret to Solheim 1. 5% Dragon Edge to HLE. At 15 minutes, both these teams are impossibly far behind, but HLE is slightly less far behind. One of the important points is this 20 KPW, which is very small sample and worth noting, lining up against that 18.1 kill per or death per loss for Solheim. HLE, cheap, very high expectation when they win, fit with the big favorites. I think they're probably going to be the chalk underdog on this slate, and it makes tons of sense to me. If you think people are not going to want to mess with HLE, I would definitely get in on HLE. The other way you can try to go with this is you could try to play Solheim. I think they're not too expensive. Let me just quickly salary this out. I'm pretty... Oh god, they started putting Brazilian players on this slate. No. Oh, the filter got turned on. It's like, oh no, they removed every player in the middle of the video. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Now we've gotten rid of the Brazilian players that were starting to attack the slate here. We get rid of these people that aren't going to play. And then looking at pricing, Solheim 1, 5,600 in the top lane, where HLE is actually 5,800, so maybe they are the favorite actually on here. Yeah, they are. Haru, 64, Flawless at 58. My fault, I looked at this earlier and I thought they were underpriced to Solheim. Solheim 64 to 68. Add 80 carry, Solheim 7,000 to 7,200 for HLE. So maybe people might even be more likely to lean towards Solheim. Let's see how they fit together real quick, just for a test. If we kept top esports in here, and we did it with, say, Hanwha Life. Something's wrong there. Oh, maybe just can't even hit that. Oh, what if I locked, say, like Jackie Love Captain? Couldn't do it. What if I locked Knight Captain? Yeah, you can play Knight Captain with 4 HLE. If you wanted to play 4 of top, could we do that? Say we went Kuve and Karsa, or Kuve and Haru with Knight and Jackie, Yuyanja. Yeah, so you could play with Hanwha Life. Ooh, you can't quite get there, actually. You'd have to change Haru and Karsa. You could do it, but you'd have to change Haru and Karsa. But with Hanwha Life, you can get a jungle captain with 4 top esports. What happens if we switch from Hanwha to Solheim 1? Same thing. So you're getting the same kind of build. You can't get it with a Knight captain? Only with 3 top esports, but there's 1,000 left on the table. Geez, even 1,000 isn't enough to go up and get. You'd have to play Mickey captain, and then you could play 4 top esports. So you could get a mid captain. What if you did hybrid captain, but then tried to play 4 top esports? Would that work? $4,500 left over, which isn't going to be enough to get there. So you're pretty much looking at a mid captain with Solheim 1 or a jungle captain with HLE if you want to pair them with top. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough not to be playing one of those 2 teams, either Solheim or HLE. I assume if you're willing to step back from top esports, you can probably get, yeah, straight up 80 carry captains with either one of those teams. With JDG, it looks like you'd have to be playing 4. With Hanwha Life, rather, it looks like you'd have to be playing 4 Hanwha, although this actually would want there to be 4 Hanwha anyway because of the projection. So it's time to bring that back up because I think that's important. We've talked about it before. Hanwha Life is one of those teams. We have a very, very small sample size on Hanwha Life, and because of that, they way over project. You're going to see 111 from their jungle. I do expect them to score very well. It's the same message that I talked about last time we dealt with Hanwha Life. Their sample size is so small and their number of kills are so high in the games that they've won. It's definitely over projecting them now that we've moved away from last season and this season and more towards this season. It's definitely starting to heavily overproject, especially their top lane and their jungle. So I would expect a pretty big score out of Lehens and Viper if they get a big win here. 125 seems pretty high. I'm probably going to go edit that on the site. Their mid lane, for some reason, though, doesn't overproject the way their other lanes do. It must be that in the couple games that they've won so far, their mid laner hasn't done very well. But beware of the Hanwha Life ones. I will go edit those down a little bit because I do think they would score very well in a win, but I'm not sure it would be this well. So I'll go edit those down a little bit. That being said, it was a long offside tangent to tell you that Solheim 1 and HLE are going to be heavily involved tonight and probably should be heavily involved. FPX makes a decent pivot, I think, but in general, I think those 2 teams are going to be pretty heavily involved on this slate. Let's look at the favorites real quick, and I will do ownership in just a minute. Okay, projections for the favorites. Obviously, at Hanwha Life, I think they're actually going to maintain being the highest even after I edit them. JDG comes second, DRX at the bottom, which we kind of would have expected. Same with JDG coming in second there in the mid lane. So we've got JDG actually in top and jungle out projecting top esports. That could be a big edge for you right there. In the mid lane, obviously, Knight out projects. Knight always out projects. At 80 carry, it's JDG again, and at support, it's JDG again. So this tells me right away, man, there's your edge right there. If you think people aren't going to be on top esports, you're crazy. Like, JDG out projects at almost every position. Get involved with JDG. I like that plan quite a bit. And Dragon X obviously showing up way the worst in all the projections, which I would totally agree with as well. They seem completely fadeable to me. For cash game lineups, you can probably go, let's see, with top esports and JDG, top esports and DRX. What's top esports and DRX look like? Any possibilities there? You can get a support captain with 3 top. In the jungle, it's 400 for an upgrade. I don't really like the 3-3 in particular. That gives you a 576. 0.1. What happens if you switch over? This is with DRX and TES. What happens if you switch over to, say, TES and JDG? 628.2. So huge jump up and upside. What happens if you switch to JDG and Dragon X? 607.9. So it's telling you if you're willing to take that risk on JDG, and given how FPX has looked lately, I think it's at least reasonable to consider doing it. You're going to get a huge jump in ceiling versus playing the 2 really safe teams in Dragon X and TES. I think I lean towards the TES JDG. If you'd rather play it a little bit safer, the Dragon X and TES is definitely significantly safer as far as percentage chance to win, as far as I'm concerned. Looking at possible ownerships for the GPPs, Solheim and HLE, we got Top and Vici, FPX and JDG, and DRX versus Dynamics. Lowest owned team on the slate's got to be Dynamics, doesn't it? Oh no, it's got to be, well, probably Dynamics, to be honest with you. With Vici next. FPX maybe? DRX possibly? I might guess that it's DRX with FPX next. These two teams mixed right in here. Probably with HLE on top, and then JDG second top on the top of the list. That would be my guess, I think, for ownership. I just don't see much reason to go towards DRX today. I think people will recognize that their matchup is not super good. It's possible they'd be a little bit higher if people are just looking at those Vegas odds, but I could see them definitely being all the way down here. And then Top and JDG almost for sure going to be some of the higher owned teams, and these two teams just fit so well with those two teams that it just makes too much sense that these two would be high as well. FPX down here might be giving you a little bit of leverage, and Vici, if you believe in them, I think they're definitely going to be pretty low. So that's about it for this slate for me, guys. I still have a lot of looking at this slate to do. I think this is just going to be such an interesting slate in how people are going to mix these teams. It's really clear what people are going to do. It's going to be JDG. It's going to be Top Esports, mostly Top Esports. They're going to be with these guys. The absolute toilet bowl that is HLE and Solheim Prince. I think I might try to find my way into some FPX, see how that goes. But very, very interesting. I will go edit those HLE projections. I really hope they win another couple games so we can start kind of balancing what their expectations are. But I will go fix those, check them back on the site again later. I think you'll see a slightly different projection for them that I think is a little bit more fair. So I'll talk to you guys later. Everybody, good luck. Hit me on the Discord, Twitter, as usual, and I will talk through over anything with you guys. And you guys have a good rest of the day. See you later.